I'm super excited about today's video. Today we are going to be interviewing Rodney. Now, Rodney has an incredible weight loss story, but he also just has an incredible story of overcoming really bad odds, I guess. Like he was dealt not the best hand in life, and he has done an incredible job of overcoming a ton of different things. And so today we're just going to be talking to Rodney, hearing his story of overcoming, obesity, overcoming a very serious accident that almost took his life, and many other things. And so I'm very excited about this video. Rodney, thank you so much for doing this. But without further ado, let's just get into the interview. Thank you so much for coming on the channel. Thank you for coming on the live. I appreciate it. We're doing this live for anyone that's watching the video after the fact. Bro, me and Rodney have been friends for a while now. The way that I actually got connected with Rodney was, I think like the first time was you made a video about your loose skin, and I like I did like a stitch. It was, I don't know what they're called on Reels, whatever. Yeah. Like I basically did a stitch of that video, and then we started talking, right? That's kind of how we met.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, the cool thing about it is like, I was in your I was in the Discord for like a break before that even happened. Like I've known Rachel, like me and Rachel talked a long time ago. Like when I first reached out to her to like get in contact with you, like a long time ago. So like it's crazy like how everything is like played out. And I think like I first originally seen you, I think through Dalton. I can't remember exactly, or I might have just seen your stuff. Honestly, I have no idea.
Yeah, so for those of the people that might not know about your story, so what was your highest weight?
420 pounds.
So 420 pounds, and you're 6'2"?
Correct.
So you
6'2.5", 6'3", yeah.
Oh, okay, whatever. All right, we get it. You're tall. All right, bro. Jeez. All right, I'm also 6 foot or 5'8", whichever. But so you were a big dude, and so I'm kind of curious. So like with these interviews, I like to talk to people, and what's really important, I think, for me is to find out about how you got to your highest weight, right? So for you, were you overweight your entire life? Like, how did you get to your highest weight? Because I think you started losing weight when you were what, 19?
Correct.
So how did you get to that weight at 19 years old?
So like starting in like childhood, my mom and my dad didn't really get along the best. So, like my mom and like my dad got like this big old deal. Like there's a big bunch of stuff that went down. And then like my mom was kind of she was into substances pretty heavy. I was born high on methamphetamine when I was born, so I wasn't supposed to live. But basically after that, like when I was, I think like 8 months old or something like that, my mom went to prison until I was about 14. So like growing up, my dad was a single father, like working, like as they just bought a house, and now he has to defend for himself and pay for me. So he was like working on nonstop. I was in daycare, like from right after school till, where he got off at 7 p.m. And like, we didn't have that much time, like communication wise, to like have that personal, like father-son bond that, families do have, or some families do. So there was just a lot of tension and stress. And I started like we like lived off of ramen noodles because it's all we could like really afford to like keep all our heads, like pretty much. And we shopped at Walmart. So like growing up as a big kid, like going to school, I was able to get the free lunches. So I took advantage of that because it was so good, because I didn't have that shit at home.
Yeah.
And then like one thing led to another, I kept eating it, and then like I kept getting picked on for not having the nicest clothes, or like shopping at Walmart, because you know how kids are in school.
Oh yeah.
Like if you don't have the richest shit, like if you don't look bougie, like you're gonna get made fun of. So it kind of like happens hand to hand, and then like I started realizing that every time somebody made fun of me, and if I had food around, it kept me busy, so it kept me getting my mind off of it, and kind of like acted as a coping mechanism to my problems. So then I started like realizing that was an escape. So every time something happened, I just kept doing it and doing it. Same with soda. I was drinking like 2 liters of soda a day.
Yeah.
And any chance I seen a soda, like no matter where I was, like I hate to say it, but like I was a kid that if I went to somebody's house, I didn't ask for permission. Like I just like snuck it in my pocket and like drank it at home. Like I
He
just
said
took as many as I
yoink.
could and like hid them. Yeah, pretty much. And like even at like my dad's work, like I like go through people's desks and like see their pop. I'm like, oh hey, I'm gonna take that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was. I hate to say that, but that's just like how down bad I was with everything that was going on in my life. That I felt like that's what kept me happy because I was moving this,
Mm-hmm.
so this wasn't working. Um, and that just kept accumulating over the years. And then my dad decided to take a job when I turned 16. When I turned 16, like I was already three 300 close to 300 no 300 pounds probably easily. And then my
So
dad moved away when,
before
of course.
before we go there, so like so at any point, right, when you were younger, I'm assuming you got like made fun of for probably, like you were saying, for your clothes, but I'm assuming kids probably made fun of you for your weight and stuff like that. Like, were there any other times that you had tried to lose weight? Like, did you try to lose weight when you were younger? And if you did, like, how were those for you?
See, the thing is, like, I don't think, because like I have a bad memory because like when I had we'll go into my accident later, but I don't remember anything before that accident
Mm-hmm.
unless it was trauma. So everything in my childhood that I remember is trauma. I don't remember anything good really. I think it's just like kind of a side effect. It's kind of weird how the human brain works, but unfortunately, I don't really remember. I have no recognition of anybody telling me I've tried to lose weight as a kid. So other than that, I don't think I really did.
Okay.
I just knew that like I was just so used to using that as comfort because I
Mm-hmm.
was so used to being picked on, made fun of because I'm big, because I ate a lot, and then always being picked last for everything too.
Yeah. Oh,
It was
yeah.
kind of
I know how that is.
so like that's it's the worst because it becomes to a point where the teachers make you the captain or like whatever because they know
Dude,
that you're gonna be the one to pick last.
Dude, I have a story. So I'm not trying to sidetrack, but we had a track day at my school, right? When I think I was in 6th grade or 7th grade. And one of the things was like long jump. So you sprinted and then tried to jump as far as you could. And my coach, trying to be nice, and like it was nice of him to do this, he was like, "Oh, John, you're gonna help me judge." And so I didn't have to do the jump because I was judging, right? And so I was just like, I remember in my head, I was like, I knew why he did it, but I wasn't even mad because I was like, cool, I don't have to run.
This is
Oh
cool.
man,
Like I
yeah.
gotta sit here and like that. That's the best too is when people do that for you.
Hmm. So okay, so you mentioned the accident. I don't want to get straight into that. Is there anything that you want to talk about like before you get into that? Because that was
Yeah.
obviously a very defining moment in your life.
So when I turned 16, like I got a job. Like I applied to McDonald's when I first turned. Like on my 16th birthday, I had an interview. I got hired at like I think it was 5:30 in the morning on my 16th birthday. And then the next day, like my dad I guess my dad was talking to somebody about taking a job 2 hours away. And didn't really want to say anything because it was still in the air. And then he got it as soon as I got my job, and he goes like, "Well, I'm take this job 2 hours away, because I'm tired of like working where I'm working here."
Mm.
He's like, "You can either come with me or you can stay here." And I was like, "Well, I mean, I just got a job. Like, I'm happy here. Like, happy, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, um, so I decided to stay because like we didn't really have that. It's kind of sad to say, like it sucks to say, but like I feel like when I was at that point at 16, like you know how you're that teenager, like you have that mindset. I feel like we didn't have that personal connection where I would miss him every single day, if that made sense. So I thought maybe it'd be best for me to stay behind, and he like gave me the list of everything I need to pay. So I like worked, 40 hours a week at McDonald's, and then working at high school, like going to high school, like
Jeez.
so I was working as a cashier, like back drive-through cook, and then I think being a cook, like I snuck so much food. I just sat there and like ate stuff
Mm-hmm.
out of the cure every time, all the time, every shift. And like we'd make all these random combinations. We'd have the most unhealthiest like stuff we could. I don't think that really had to help, but at the same time, like I still didn't know how to cope with anything, so I was using that to cope with my problems.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there was times like when I'd close, I'd close a lot because when you close, instead of the food going to waste, you could count it and then people could take it.
Mm-hmm.
We all just took it.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing you know, I'd roll up to a buddy's house with like 80 nuggets, 10 hot and spicies, like 20 McDoubles, whatever, and just like we'd sit there and feast. So that didn't obviously help. So like fast forward to like, because we got to leave for lunch every single day at our school. So I kid you not. I was the first one out of the parking lot every single day, out of the high school, everything. As a big boy at 400 pounds in my car at Taco Bell before anybody else was, every single day of the year. And I had all of my food gone before people even ate.
Yep.
Like ordered. And then I'd sit there and drink like 3 Baja Blasts and then take one back to the school. And then I had that every single day, pretty much.
Dude, it is crazy how similar we are, because I used to, so I wouldn't leave, like I technically could for lunch, but we would get out of school by 1, so there was really no point. I would be the first kid. There was a Taco Bell right by my school too, and I used to go there at senior year. I would go there every day after school, but I was broke, so I didn't have any money. And so I would try and get free food because like I became friends with the cashier. Sometimes I had money, sometimes I didn't. But I would like kind of joke around with the cashiers. And then one time the cashier that was working there, he was probably like just at high school. He was a young kid. He was like, bro, why are you here? Like, don't you have anywhere else to go? Right. And like, he could tell it made me feel bad. And he was like, dude, I'm sorry. Like later he was like, he tried to give me food or whatever. And I was just like, dude, it's just funny how similar we are in so many things, dude.
Speaking on that, so a lot of my buddies used to, like, I had a few friends that worked at Taco Bell. So you best believe on the weekends and like in the afternoons and the evenings when they were working, like I'd come through, I'd like order something and be like, hey, like double on the side or something, and then like, hey, do you want to? I was like, hey, is that pretty good? Would you mind throwing one of those in? Like that just sounds really good, So like I totally understand that.
Yeah.
To a T. So basically, like I kept doing that all the way until like the summer of senior year of high school. Me and my buddy, like, so I have a couple of my friends rode like dirt bikes. So they decided one day, because like I've went before, but they wanted me to go again to like watch them. And I was like, screw it. Like, okay, whatever, let's go. So they came to my house and picked me up. And we went out to the dirt bike track. I was watching them ride around, and they were taking a break actually. And I sat on my buddy's bike, and one of my friends was like, hey, like jokingly, like, Rodney, go take it around. Like, we'll teach you. And the owner of the bike, he was like, I don't know about that, because I was 400 pounds. Like, I'll bottom out the suspension if I hit a bump, like whatever.
Yeah.
Like it was not made for a hefty boy.
Yeah.
Like a little 250 bike.
Yeah, that's not a huge bike either, right? Like that's a relatively small one.
No. Because because you have like your miniature bikes for your kids, then you have like a 125 and then a 250cc, and then it goes to 450, which is the big ones. I was on a 250 at 400 pounds. Like that thing was squatting. Like,
it was a low rider when you were on it.
Yep. And I didn't have any like gear. I didn't have any helmet, nothing.
Oh,
so like
man.
So my buddy was like, okay, well, he like taught me how to use the clutch, and I like killed it a few times, and then I got a hold of it, and I was going slow around the outside of the track, and then I decided to get ballsy and start going faster. And I came around a turn, and I got on a little bit, and I forgot there was a dip. And I didn't stand up for the dip. So as I dipped, the suspension bottomed out on the tire, and as it bottomed out on the tire, it ricocheted and swooped me off. The next thing I know, I just let go of the handlebars and remember flying like face first through the air, like 25 feet from the bike, and like from like my hand to the ground, like all I remember is saying like OF like in my head, and then just lights out. And that's all I remember. And I woke up and I couldn't see anything because I had sunglasses on, so I was like, well, I just lost my eyes. And I like put my head back down, and then I woke up again all panicking and stuff. I was like, cool, whatever, like wiped my face, and it was starting to like unblur. I was like, I did it again, and I could like wipe my shirt or something, and I could see again. I looked down, and I'm in like a 2-inch puddle of my own blood. Like, I don't know how long I was laying there. Like my face, I don't know if you can really see, but I have an incision.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right there. And then one all the way over here.
Wow.
Those were both 3 inches deep, and my nose looked like a dog ate it. My nose was all chiseled off, and I had dirt and rocks embedded in my skin. And then my chin, I can't remember where it was, but my face got all like rug burned, where I had like no skin on my face really in a certain spot. Um, my friends found me and like picked me up and like got me to stand up. I was like, okay, like cool, like whatever. They finally got me in the car, got me in my car. Um, like it took me forever because I didn't realize what all happened. I
Yeah.
was just like in shock pretty much. And I wanted to go like so we couldn't get 911 out there because there's no service. So they had to drive me into town,
Oh
and
my
I was like, just
God,
take me
dude.
home. Like just take me. Like, it was 30 minutes home. Like get back to town. So like just take me home. I'm gonna clean up, and I just want to take a nap. Like whatever. And my buddies have raced long enough. They've crashed, and they're like, no, like this is not like you're not healthy right now. Like
Mm.
you need to go see somebody because I kept like fading in and out of consciousness in the car. And I was 17 at the time. And my dad lived in Denver, which is 3 hours away from me. So when I rolled up to the ER bleeding all over the place, they looked at me and go, sorry, we can't take you. You're 17. You don't have a parent guardian with you. So sitting there in my car, fading into my consciousness, I like blatantly remember my friends and their parents, like their parents came down too, yelling at them to take me in.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad wasn't there to sign anything, so they wouldn't. And they finally like realized that I was bleeding everywhere. They're like, okay, well, if we can get your dad on the phone, like we can do a verbal agreement. So they did. Next thing I know, I like wake up to them like stabbing a chest tube in my chest or like in my side. That's all I like wake up remembering. Like I see everybody like standing around me like crying, and I'm like, what? And they did like all the X-rays and CAT scans and everything, and I guess I had a major concussion, had brain bleeding, and I like shattered my scapula, which is your shoulder blade, and then I
Mm-hmm.
broke my clavicle, which is your collarbone, and then I compressed my ribs on my right hand side, and I broke 7, and then I punctured a lung, bruised both lungs, and had some internal bleeding.
Jeez.
And they weren't sure if I would make it
Yeah.
because they said when I was in the parking lot, they said when they got me back there, they said if they didn't get that chest tube within 5 minutes, I would have drowned in my own blood.
Yeah. Jeez.
And we live in a small town, so like they couldn't do much.
Mm.
So they had to take me to Children's Hospital, but I was too big for a helicopter. They had 3 helicopters in the parking lot, all of them different sizes, trying to take me, but I was over the weight and over the dimensions to fit inside one.
Jeez, dude.
So I had to bumpy ambulance ride all the way 3 hours to a hospital. With all of that, oh, I also forgot to mention I fractured a vertebrae in my spine too, so I should have been paralyzed. And I wake up in Children's, like in ICU, like a day later, and like my dad's sitting there and like he's ripping my ass, like calling, you know how parents are, calling you names and shit, like telling you like you should have done better, like you should have known all this and that, like you're not some little kid. And then like I remember like in ICU, I barely remember like conversation with the surgeon saying like, sorry, but like we're not too sure how this is gonna happen. Like you either need to be ready for his funeral or plan for him to go home paralyzed. Like we're not sure how this is gonna happen yet. 3 days later, I ended up waking up at the 16th floor, which is like the intensive care unit, but is not ICU. So I stayed there for a few more days. I was finally able to walk. I think day 7 or 8, I was finally able to take a couple steps out of my room. I'm sure you've seen that video where I have my sling on, where I'm kind of like,
yeah,
that's that time. I was on, I think it was 8 liters of oxygen for a solid 3 weeks. And then like I was on oxygen for, I think up to 3 months. I couldn't lay on my back. I had to sleep in like a lawn chair. It was super painful. So like after I recovered and everything, like I got home and I went to the doctor because like they wanted to check me up here, like so the school could like approve me to do stuff because I was a senior in high school, about to graduate, and they diagnosed me with a fatty liver disease,
Hmm.
and which is basically liver disease because you're overweight,
Mhm.
your liver starts to shut down. And they said that my liver was already 50% dead. Like I
Jeez.
already lost 50% of my liver
At
capacity.
what, 17, 18 years old?
All of it at once, just all within a year. Um, so obviously my dad not being there, I didn't have anybody to talk to really about like everything else. So food became more of a comfort to
Oh
me.
yeah, I bet.
And I was so down bad that I didn't care what the outcome was. I was like, I've already been through all of this, and if this is what takes me out, it's what takes me out.
Yeah.
At least I'm gonna die,
Happy
happy,
kind of thing.
young,
Yeah.
feeding my face.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay with it. So then, like, basically, fast forward to sophomore year of college, I woke up one day and I realized that I'm still here. Like, I have a purpose in life. Like, I'm not like a super religious person, but I was like, I feel like he wants me to do something. I feel like he has a mission because, like, you're telling me somebody else is gonna have a third chance at life.
Yeah.
Not a second, a third. Like, not very many people get to see a second chance. And here
Mhm.
I am in my third strike. So I bought a gym membership, cut out all sugar, fast food, and soda all in one day cold turkey. Like, I
Mhm.
just gave zero crap about it. And I started like busting my ass in the gym 7 days a week, doing an hour to 2 hours of cardio a day. At first, I didn't know anything about nutrition, so I just starved myself. I think I was eating like 300 calories a day for I think
Mhm.
6 months. Drinking like maybe one of these a day for all fluids.
Yeah.
And then like I didn't really have anything else. So like COVID happened too, and everybody was like, "Oh," because like right when I first started, I had all of my friends placing bets on me, saying like how fast I would give up. They all like literally made a group chat like betting against me, like putting money in a pool of like giving a date how long I would last
Mhm.
before I'd give up. So it's just I think that motivated me even more because I realized that I have all these people believing that I can't do it.
Mhm.
So that pushed me even more. And then COVID happened, so all the gyms closed down, and I was like, well, what do I do now?
Mhm.
So I just started. I still like went out and like did all of my runs and like all of my walks in the park around like trails and stuff for like 2 3 hours a day. And like even in the winter when we had snow on the ground, like because I live in Colorado, we had like 5 to 8 inches of snow a lot. I would still like tromp through it all just because I knew that if I wanted this, I had to do it. Like there was no like I was already like 60 pounds down at the time.
Mhm.
I was like, why stop now? Like why am I gonna let this little virus like stop my progress?
Mhm.
So I continued and continued, and then fast forward down 220 pounds. I've recently just competed in October in transformation, where I showcased my transformation summer shredding. I placed fourth out of 30. I lost all of my weight naturally, so it's pretty cool to like step on and like showcase it.
Mhm.
And then just since like June of last year when I started like continuously posting social media, I think I've reached over 800 million accounts
Mhm.
just since the last few months. So it's just crazy to think that I've reached and impacted so many people. Um, I never thought that I'd be where I'm at today.
Mhm. All right, so I want to take a step back a little bit. So, was there ever a moment, right, that when you started losing the weight and you saw that some weight was happening, did you ever have? So I talk about the click moment when you decide to lose the weight, which is you talked about being a sophomore, right? But was there ever a moment where you realized that you were gonna do it, right? Was there ever a moment where you're like, oh, I can do this?
I think it was after like because like obviously like the first couple of days I went with like my buddy like got a gym membership with me and he wanted to lose some weight like a little bit. I think it was after the first week I realized that I didn't need soda and fast food to be happy anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
found a new happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to the gym like two to three times, like anywhere from 1 to 3 times a day. Like I lived at that place. Like I would literally, because they had like chairs at the front, I would literally sit there on my phone for like an hour at a time, do breaks, and then I would go back and do it all over again,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would go home. So like that became my new comfort. So I realized, I think that was the clicking moment when I realized I didn't need that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm better than that.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because I don't know if you have like ADHD or anything like that, but I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of my friends that have lost weight and kept it off. And one thing that a lot of us have realized we have in common, one person is Jordan, who's actually in the chat right now. And we've talked about this, is about like becoming hyper fixated on stuff, right? This is something that I absolutely do. And I think when I started losing weight, I became hyper fixated on losing weight and keep it like, I wanted to know everything about like what are calories, all of these things. I just became like hyper fixated on it. And it just sounds like I'm not diagnosing you with anything, but it's just interesting because you talking about how you were at the gym 24/7, basically like just hanging out there. It reminds me of me when I first started. Like I was watching YouTube videos about like certain workouts and all this stuff. Like I just became like, all I cared about was learning and garnering knowledge about losing weight. And so I just thought that was interesting.
No, you're 100% right. I think I could even say that was me, maybe even more. Because like I have old videos, I'll scroll through my camera roll and I'll find like stuff from when I first started, where it's like TikToks of me saving people's videos on nutrition or like beginner workouts for weight loss. You know, the stupidest things that you don't like, that people eat up, from people that I actually talk to on the daily that are in the fitness space now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's just crazy that at first, when I first started, like I looked up to your videos, like you helped me.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am now, we're like friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just crazy because who would have known, you know? It's just crazy what things can happen.
Yeah. And like, that's
and
Well, I was gonna say that's one thing. That's why I always encourage people, like, and I tell people I'm not special. No one that like has lost weight and kept it off, in my opinion, is like special. It's just we've taken the time to learn certain things, and like anybody can do what I've done, I believe, right? And obviously we all have different experiences, and we all have been through different things. But like I don't think that what I've done is any sort of like immaculate. Oh my God, how like should be revered, right? It's just I just put in the work, and it was hard. I'm not saying it's not hard, but yeah, I just think that anybody can do it, and I think your story is certainly a testament to that. Like, dude, you came up from like literally like nothing, right? Like I always like, I didn't have the best childhood, but like it's clear that your childhood there was even more stuff going on. I mean, we have a lot of stuff in common. Like I was also born into a family that had issues with drugs. Like we were actually taken away for a little bit and then put back with my mom because she was actually able to get off. And so that was awesome. But like, I grew up very poor. Like you talked about eating ramen. Like that was one of my staples, like ramen. And I would, if I was getting fancy, I would have grilled cheese and dip it in the ramen and then eat it like that. And so I know exactly like, those kind of feelings. Okay, so another thing that I want to talk about is I know that you obviously recently just got loose skin surgery, and that's been a huge thing that I think you've done a great job sharing. But before we get into that surgery, I want to talk about your knees, because I don't. So this is actually something I truly don't know. Did you have knee issues before the accident, or did the accident cause those?
So I actually had like bad rotational deformity from genetics and my accident.
Okay.
So, being overweight, like put a lot of, because like nobody understands, but like every pound you weigh is 4 pounds of pressure on your joints, on your knee joints. So think about it, 400 pounds times 4,
mm-hmm.
it's 1,200 pounds on one knee.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to cave my leg in. I was 33 degrees off normal when they got to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told that I either lost the weight or, I'd be disabled in my early 20s. So I kind of like had to do what I needed to do, or I'd be in a wheelchair,
Yeah.
Before I was 25. So I had to get a full reconstructive leg surgery. I was out on the table for a total of 8.5 hours unconscious. I think I went back at like 8 a.m. I got like taken back into the operating room. I don't remember waking up until like 11 p.m. that night in like a hospital bed. So like I was out like unconscious for so long.
For those of the people that might not have seen Rodney's like videos, because he shares all of this stuff, like basically it looked like you've shared Xrays too of like basically like your knees when you were standing were almost like touching each other, and then your legs were almost like coming out the other way, right?
Correct, because that was me trying to get my legs as close as I could together.
Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, it's pretty crazy, like how you have, you know, gone through, it's just crazy. Like you've gone through so many different things, and you know, the weight loss is just one, like the weight loss is just one of so many other things that you've been through and you've like been able to overcome, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just like crazy because how they were able to save it was just crazy because I never really understood how bad it was until I seen X-rays. Until I was like stepping up there and like showing, they were asking me to do all these things and like demonstrate how close I could get my legs together. I had no idea that I was that far. Like I had no idea that I was that bad. I think it was more or less just like I said, I was just happy with having my comfort. So I didn't really care about anything else. Like I knew what made me happy. So why did I need to care?
So you had the leg surgery. Was that after the accident?
Correct.
Okay. So I'm just trying to get the timeline.
No, you're good. So that was I got my leg surgery in early 2021. So like that was after I was like I think down about 150 pounds, give or take. Because like he said, I needed to lose the weight before they could do the surgery, or it would be pointless.
All right. So timeline was basically, you know, you went through everything that you did when you were younger. You had this crazy accident at 17 years old, 18 years old?
Correct. 17.
17 years old. And then at 19 years old, you have this leg reconstruction. And then you end up, during that time is when you're losing the weight.
Correct.
Okay.
That was like middle weight loss journey.
Now I want to talk about just like social media, you posting, and then eventually to the loose skin surgery, because that's something that you're literally still recovering from. You have the binders on and stuff right now, right? So, so when did you start posting on social media? Like, and then how has that journey been? And then you can take us all the way up to getting the loose skin surgery if you want.
Like consecutive, like started posting consecutively, or like every once in a while?
I mean, like when did you start documenting the journey, I guess, like weight loss kind of stuff?
So, so recently, like, I'm not gonna lie, I wish I like took more pictures of videos when I first started, but I think it was more or less.
That's everybody, dude. That is everybody. Trust me.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Like it is what it is. So I posted like a couple videos here and there when I first started, and then like I truly like found out what I could do for social media. Like when I started posting my transformation, I think like when I first started like actually posting a little bit more about my transformation, I was about down 100 pounds, I think, and no, like 120 or something like that, something like that. And that video that I decided to post one time, I decided to post it. I was like, well, like I knew nothing about it, nothing about TikTok, nothing about Instagram, whatever. I was getting like 100 views a video, like 50 to 100 views, like nothing crazy. And then I posted one video and didn't think anything of it. And I don't check my app for a few days because like I was nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was a nobody.
You feel like you're just like posting into a void, right? You're like, okay, whatever. Like
you're posting into your own like time capsule.
Yeah.
So I posted it, and like checked back in a couple days, and it's got like 5 million views. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell? And I see all these comments, all this and that. I'm like blown away. And then like next thing I know, ESPN Sports Center DM'd me, and they're like, "Is this your video? Like, do you own this?" I was like, "Yeah." And next thing I know, they post me on the Sports Center page on Instagram, and I was like, "What? How? Like, I knew nothing. Like, this was like very new to me, so I was like so in shock." So then I realized, I was like, "Wow, I've reached this many people. Why don't I continue?" And then I kept getting like hardly any views, hardly any likes, whatever.
Dude, yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm just gonna stay consistent, whatever. And then I hit another video that got like 10 million. So I was like, kept doing it, because I was loving it. Because like I realized that I think what for me hit me the most was like when I wanted to continue with social media, it's like all the DMs and like comments of people saying, like you're my inspiration, or I'm starting today because of you, or I'm down 40 pounds and I'm going to keep going for you or because of you.
Is that weird to
you've
hear?
changed my life.
Is it weird to hear that?
It is because growing up like obese, like I'm sure you can relate. You never would have thought somebody would have looked up to us.
Dude, exactly.
Ever.
Exactly. When people tell me, I'm like, I don't think you like it. I think I have imposter syndrome, but I'm like, I don't believe you. Okay. You're lying. I'm just like,
for sure. Like, that's not me.
Yeah.
So like fast forward, I continue to post and like not as consecutively. And then I went to summer shredding last year at Alphaland in June. I went to Dalton's show, and I seen everybody like all their cameras and stuff start posting. And I was like, man, maybe this is a sign that I should start posting. So I started posting everything. I recorded like a crap ton of the content there. And I started like posting consecutively. And then I think on Instagram, I was reaching like 140 million accounts every 7 days. Like million, not thousands, like millions of accounts. And just from like June till like January of this year is over 800 million accounts just on Instagram. And like now I can still post consecutively because I love it. I love seeing all those DMs. I love seeing all those comments. And because like I said, I love seeing people say that I'm an inspiration or they're starting their journey because of me. And then I just like love helping people get to that point in their life because I know what it's like being at rock bottom. And I don't wish it upon my worst enemy because at the end of the day, life's too short and there's too many people that take every breath for granted. But in reality, none of us really know when that last breath's going to be. And I think that was what really woke me up when I decided to lose the weight because I didn't know what my next day was because I've been through all of this and it was almost like it was a test for me. So like now that's why I love to do what I do and like be this motivation for people because I know what it's like. I was there. I'm not going to say I had the worst life growing up because no matter what, at the end of the day, there's always somebody else that's worse than you. But I can tell you that I did not have the best life. So whatever I can do, carry a smile on my face, whatever I post, as long as I can impact one person's day, that like whatever day it is, my day has been achieved, no matter what it is. So I think that's really what like got me to consecutively post on TikTok and Instagram. And like now I think over all the platforms I have like 600,000 or 700,000 followers combined. And I'm still reaching like 10 to 20 million accounts every 7 days, like consecutively. And, you know, it's more or less falling in love with the process and understanding that I feel happy now making other people feel happy about themselves. I think it's more or less where I found my peace.
Yeah, and it's like, it's crazy when you're coming from where you came from, the fact that you're even able to do that, right? Like you're able to reach people and inspire people or whatever. Okay, so talking about the loose skin. So when did you kind of notice that you had the loose skin, and then what was the process like? Because we talked a little bit before the interview about, you know, how that kind of happened with the loose skin surgery. But you know, tell me about the process of like realizing you have loose skin, how that made you feel, and then how you ended up actually being able to get the surgery.
So when I was about 150 pounds down, I started noticing like more that I had loose skin. And I started like playing with it in the mirror and like recording myself. It was like you start playing with it and it becomes funny. And then like I think some of my followers and like my views came from like videos of me just shaking my skin. Like it's just stupid videos. And then like basically like I just kind of like owned up to it and I was like okay with it. But like in the gym, but in public I wasn't okay to take my shirt off yet.
Yeah.
But in the gym I'll take it off, yeah, because the people that are in the gym I've known for a while, they've seen my journey in their family. So I was insecure outside of the gym, but I felt safe in the gym with it. So I decided, like, I did my competition and I placed 4th out of 30 in transformation, which is crazy because they only placed top 10 out of the 30 individuals. So I think it was just crazy to say that I've done that, that I was able to do that. And I realized how much fun it was and how many people and connections and friends and family that I've now made for, you know, my rest of my life. I realized I wanted to compete again. but I couldn't compete with my loose skin.
Mm-hmm.
So I like contemplated on getting the skin surgery because I wanted to finally feel happy in my body.
Mm-hmm.
Because with the skin, like, yeah, I was happy to an extent, but I wasn't happy. Um, so like I kept like researching a bunch of surgeons, like talking to people, and just nothing seemed to click.
Yeah, I remember we had
After,
conversations at that time, like you
yeah.
know, kind of talking about it and stuff.
And then like after 3 months, I was just like, I'm done. Like I'm good. I can't. I'm good. I don't want to anymore. And then I got a DM from a surgeon, like saying, "Hey, like, we love your story. Like, we do skin surgery. Like, we're a cosmetic surgical place. We'd love to FaceTime and like kind of hear about you a little bit and
Mm-hmm.
like see if maybe we can get you a consultation and see if something would be good for you here." So we like FaceTimed and like, I was thinking like one surgeon. No, they FaceTimed me with like three surgeons in the room. Like we
Mm-hmm.
all had a conversation. Like they introduced themselves, talked about themselves for a little bit. They took like FaceTime pictures of like my skin,
Mm-hmm.
and then they called me back like 3 days later. They said like this is what we could do, all this and that, and they're like, "What do you think?" And at that point, I was like already decided that I wasn't going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking at that given time, when I told myself that I was not going to get the surgery, like I got that DM like an hour later. I was
Yeah.
like thinking about it in my head. I was like, maybe this is a sign that God wants me to get the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is a sign that this is meant for me. Maybe this is a sign that this is what I need to do. So I decided that I wanted to get the surgery. So I didn't really want to wait super long. So I decided to go ahead and, get it done as fast as I could. So I think it was only like a month and a half wait. And then I went and did the surgery. I think I'm actually a month down today.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's crazy. I had surgery a month from today. But here I am recovering. I'm doing really good. Pain wasn't too bad, like isn't too bad now, but it was definitely a lot worse for the first couple of days. I think it was more or less just like me getting myself mentally ready to not be able to do anything for 8 to 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the biggest thing for me.
So what surgery did you end up getting?
So they ended up doing a rear back lift, or an upper back lift is what it's called, and then they did an upper chest lift, and then they did a full tummy tuck.
Okay.
So they were gonna do a fleur-de-lis as well, but I didn't have enough skin to do a fleur-de-lis, so they didn't do a fleur-de-lis because I was already so flat on the table. There was nothing to get.
What is that?
So a fleur-de-lis is where they grab your stomach. So say this is like my like I'm laying flat like this.
Mm-hmm.
My stomach's right here. This is where they'll grab it like this. They'll staple it together as much as they can, like in the middle, and then they'll basically like go in and cauterize all of that skin, and then fold you back together, and you'll have a scar down the middle of your stomach.
Okay.
So like basically they'll open you up down the middle, take as much as they can out, and then stretch your skin.
Okay.
Like a suit, pretty much, if you think about it.
Did you have?
I don't really know their collection.
Yeah, no. Did you end up getting like your abs tightened?
No.
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 I know that's something that sometimes they do because a lot of times when you do get really overweight, your abs separate, and so they'll like surgically. Because I've heard that that's a lot of times where a lot of like the significant insane pain comes from is like when they surgically like attach your abs or something. I don't know much about it, but I've had friends that have had that surgery and they said like that was the worst part for them. I wonder if they're like moving away from that. I don't really know. But so it's been a month. Yeah, no, you go.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
So my pre-op surgery day, like when they did all the markups, they were blown away of how visible my abs were through the loose skin, so they didn't think they needed to do anything. So that's kind of like why I don't think we got anything.
Nice. Yeah, that's good to know. So it's been a month since the surgery. I know we already kind of talked about this right a little bit before, but like what was the recovery process like in the first few days? Because like I said earlier, you were freaking going on a walk literally the day after, which I was like blown away. I couldn't believe. So like how was the recovery? And obviously you're still going through it. You had the drains, you got rid of those. So take us through that experience.
So I actually remember like getting out of the hospital or like I barely remember like getting into the Uber after our surgery, like after I woke like a couple hours. And because we were in Tennessee, me and my girlfriend flew across the country to like get the surgery because that's where they were located. I remember like she helping me get in the car with the Uber, and then like this Uber lady was like super nice and like was super worried, like driving super slow and like um not like wanting to hit bumps or anything because she was scared from like what I can remember my girlfriend saying. And like we got out of the car, and then like next thing I know, she told me that I like threw up all over the floor or like threw up all over the ground, and like I guess I threw up on her shoes, and I felt so bad. And then the lady kept like trying to help us, and she just felt so bad. So like that's I think it was more or less the anesthesia. And then I like, went inside and I passed out for like 6, 7 hours. And then the next day I woke up and I was in a lot of pain, of course, but I was on such like good painkillers and muscle relaxers and antibiotics and everything else that because like once you get skin surgery like that, you lose a lot of your nerves.
Yeah.
You lose a lot of feeling. So I think that helped quite a bit with my pain. Um, so I wasn't in like unbearable, like unmoving pain. Like I have that mindset where I'm always on go. Like I need to get up, move around, stay active.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided like I just kept like trying to like move, and plus like the surgeons wanted us to get me up every 2 hours to like walk around, so I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get blood clots.
That's important
So I
too.
think that like helped.
Yeah.
That helped a lot is like walking around every 2 hours for the first few days. Um, and then like by I think the surgical office is like half a mile away from the Airbnb we were at. And I think day 3 when we went back for our checkup, I said I want to walk. We walked half mile there and a half mile back after our like for our appointment.
Did
And then
did
we
your
did
doctor
that.
say anything? Were they like, "What are you doing?"
They didn't really believe me. But I mean, it was kind of fun. But at the same time, I remember like kind of staggering a little bit
Mhm.
because like I just had like this crazy surgery. So like it was kind of rough, but I mean, I did it. I did that for like I did that for like 3 times I think in a row.
Mhm.
And then like we ended up like I think post-op day 5 or 6 I think like right before we left we ended up like going to like a few of the like the big tourist attractions all in one day. Like we were to bust out all of them. We got up super early, like went to this place. I think it was like our tickets were like 7 or 8 a.m. I think. I can't
Mhm.
remember exactly when. And then we were there like all day long. So we did all of that, and then like after that, like I ended up walking like 5 or 6 miles that day
Jeez.
just from seeing everything, and it was crazy. Like I didn't believe it. Um, with like 4 drain tubes, like went
Yeah.
all of my compression, and it was it didn't feel the pleasant. Like at the end of the day, I was beat. Like I was
Mhm.
so tired, whatever. But I think one of the biggest things that I hated the most, like first getting into like out of surgery, is like not being able to sit down by yourself, not being able to stand up by myself.
Mhm.
Really, can't sit on the ground because it hurt too much to like put pressure on my arm because I was basically a whole 180 or a whole 360 suture up top,
Mhm.
so it hurt up top, and then I just felt like I couldn't do anything. So I felt like I was not prepared, not like I couldn't take care of myself. So
Yeah.
you know how that like that
Mhm.
feeling. Um, and then like coughing and sneezing.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, because like right underneath my stomach there's an incision, and if you think when you cough or sneeze, you suck in your diaphragm, you
Mhm.
suck in that scar, and it's all fresh and tender. So I mean, every time I'd like sit there and like hold it in because
Mhm.
I knew how bad it was gonna hurt. But I mean, other than that, like that was the only really like things that I had to deal with the most. Obviously, like I had to like have my girl, like Cortland, my girlfriend, had to like help me like get dressed like for the first few days because I couldn't get my gown, like my compression on by myself. I couldn't do my A strap by myself. She did so much for me, and like it just like truly understood that I don't think I'd be like I didn't realize how bad it was like
Oh yeah.
because it comes to a point where you're like I can't do anything. Like you feel helpless,
Mhm.
and then like I remember very like very not very much but like I remember like the first couple of days I was super emotional like just crying out of no reason
Mhm.
but I mean other than that like I don't think there was like a lot of things going wrong like
Yeah.
it wasn't that bad but I definitely like have to say that like having Cortland there for me like helped me a lot, because I don't think I would have had done it as well, like be anywhere close, if I didn't have like her with me. Because like because I was thinking about bringing a friend like to help me, but then I realized I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't, because they would have seen me naked, like they would have had to help me shower, all this that. I was just like, at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm super thankful for what she did.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I can't thank her enough, because I don't think I'd be this good post-op 1 month if it
Yeah.
wasn't for her. You know what I mean? Because like she put her foot down, and, like told me things I couldn't do, and like helped me. She like tracked all my medications, like got me up every 2 hours. She did everything that the surgeons wanted me to do. Like
Mhm.
she took care of everything, and she's a trooper. I don't know, like I said, I can't thank that enough.
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome. Like stuff like that, you definitely can't. You can't, from what I understand with loose skin, like you can't do the surgery alone. Like you need to have someone helping you. So I'm glad that you had a significant other and not a friend that had to see your, your ghibli bits out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, see, I didn't think of it. Like when we were talking about the surgery, like I didn't think anything of it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about that. Like, so it's just like kind of like glad that I did, you know?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, now you're a month post-op. You have all of the drains out. How long, how long do you feel like the recovery is going to go? And then what are the next steps? Like, what do you want to do after the recovery is done?
So recovery is going to be 8 to 12 weeks before I can officially go to the gym again. But I have a wound underneath my arm. One of my sutures ended up tearing open.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have to doctor that, because I've been moving my left arm more than I should be. So it ended up like tearing the stitch open, and like a few stitches fell out. So now it's just like a giant hole in a way. So I have to take care of that. But other than that, I think this year, like I might get my right leg done. It's only gonna be like a 4 to 6 week recovery, because like I'll be up and walking in like less than. He said I'll be up and walking off crutches in 2 to 3 days,
Mm-hmm.
but I won't be able to like run or like do a whole bunch of stuff for like 4 weeks. So I think I might do that. I'm not 100% sure quite yet. I think I just got to mentally prepare myself, because this is definitely like played a huge fact, because like sitting by yourself all day, like the walls close in. Like it's not like it. I wish I could say that it didn't, but I'm just one of those people that sometimes shit like that gets to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a people person. Like growing up, I was alone, so like I love human interaction. I love like talking to somebody. So I think that like helped. But I mean, other than that, I want to just like recover, start going to the gym, like getting in through the motions again, and then just I want to continue to scale on social media and just help continue to grow everything, and just try and help change as many people as I can.
Awesome, bro. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, man.
I appreciate you for having me. It was definitely a pleasure. It was a long wait. I was super stoked to get it done.
Yeah, no, me too. It's the long overdue, but I think it was a good time. A month after surgery, sure. You're able to talk and chill and stuff like that, and I think this was a good time to do it.